Are you the secretary?
All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Thanks, everybody, for your patience here. We're running a couple minutes behind. It's obviously, this is an important, town meeting night. So first, let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and then we have one special item for today. We have a proclamation for tonight. It is National Public Works Week. I was hoping, Steve, this is going to be for you. So we're doing this proclamation from the town of Rocky Hill in honor of Public Works Week, May 17th to 23rd. Whereas, everybody get ready. Hopefully we can keep everybody awake for this, but whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Rocky Hill. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services cannot be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Rocky Hill to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it now resolved, I, Alan Smith, Mayor of Rocky Hill, Connecticut, do hereby designate the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. So,
Well done.
thank you, everybody in the public works community. And with that, I will hand this off to our resident public works expert, Mr. Steven Sopolik, as we prepare for public comment. All right, we can take a picture together later. Stick around, just wait until the end of the meeting. We'll do a photo op. Yeah. So public comment. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment via email should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting to have their public comment read into the record. Do we have anybody that wishes to offer any comments today? If you do, just step up to the mic, give your name and address.
Yes, hi, my name is Brian Donahue, 83 Springbrook Drive, Rocky Hill, Connecticut. I'm asking that you either maintain or increase both the budget for the Board of Ed and the library. Both of them are the backbone of Rocky Hill and our students. I'm a parent of 2 children who go to the Rocky Hill School District, and we definitely need to make sure that we stop any cuts and that we make sure that all of our children's educational and reading, is up to par and exceed. We should be an example, not a detriment to our children. We should be an example. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's up next? All right.
Hi, I'm Heather Wolf Taylor, 50 Elm Street. My son Alexander is just finishing up 9th grade at the high school. We have been so impressed throughout this 9th grade year. The high school seems to be full of teachers who really go above and beyond. He comes home pretty much every day talking about interesting projects, research things they've done, trips they're going on. And every time he comes home and tells a story, I usually say, you know, it sounds like your teachers really enjoy their jobs. I can tell from the level of discretionary effort that they're putting forth and the connections that he's made with them. And there's just a lot of joy at that school. Utmost important for me as you all consider the town's budget is I want us to retain these incredible teachers. I would hate for us to lose anybody to a neighboring district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mara Kalin. This is my husband, Derek Kalin. We live at 116 Ridgewood Drive here in Rocky Hill. And we're here tonight to speak about the budget, specifically that we would like to ask the council to fully fund the budgets proposed by the Board of Education and the library. Our family moved to Rocky Hill in 2021, and a big part of that decision was due to Rocky Hill's respected school system, which we hoped would be a support to our kindergarten-age child at that time. Kindergarten age. Since that time, we have been deeply appreciative of the teachers who have done so much for him. But at the same time, we've been distressed by the budgetary pressures exerted on our school system. Those pressures took the form of a leaking roof at West Hill because the council had not invested in the capital improvement program. They were visible in growing class sizes because teaching positions were left unfilled. This year, we saw the cancellation of important programs such as foreign language instruction in the 4th grade and fifth grade, despite the fact that such programs are offered by neighboring towns. The defense has always been that our students test well despite the cuts. To me, their performance is a testament to the efforts of our students and teachers and not an excuse to cut away at their supports. Speaking of pressure, there are few institutions under more pressure in town than our library, which has seen a decline in staff and book budgets over the past several budget cycles. The library team has been expected to do more with less every year. The fact that they have continued to deliver excellent service is not evidence of sound fiscal judgment. It is simply a willingness to squeeze every ounce of energy and passion out of dedicated public servants. Library services have survived the positions cut since former director Mary Hogan's retirement in 2023, only through staff burnout and the creation of an untenable work environment. We recognize that the cost of living is high. We feel it too. Even so, my family and I urge you to support the budget, particularly in these areas. The schools and library are vital institutions, and they need our support. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Stephanie Hennigan, 9 Maxwell Drive. My husband and I moved into town in 1969, so I have seen many changes. We guided our 3 children from K through 6 at Stevens to Griswold and on to the high school during the construction of the new one and the destruction of the old one, and graduation. Our son, however, had a laundry list of disabilities that were not caught until high school. Many suggestions were discussed, but ultimately it was decided that it was kind of too late for any remediation, that he'd learn to compensate, so good luck. The SAT instructor told him not to even turn the page on the reading comprehension because a wrong answer was worse than not answering it at all. The senior center is exceptional, and the farm is coming along nicely. The town is doing a lot of wonderful things and growing, but we cannot skimp on the education of our children. We are charged to give them an education, and it's very, very important. Not the class size should be changed, not the paras, and certainly not any special education teachers that might prevent years of frustration that my son was forced to go through. So please keep the budget, keep the teachers, keep the class size as small as possible. Nothing more important we can invest in than children.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Kathy Carone, 23 Sutton Road, right here in town. I'm here in support to pass the proposed budget for the Board of Ed. Over the past 6 years, the BOE has experienced cuts to their budget, resulting in reduction in teachers and class sizes growing to numbers that I have never seen in my 35 years living in this town and raising my own son through this school system. Rocky Hill schools rank very high in the state. I mean, we're like the top 20% in the state. And the town's reputation for good schools with families moving to Rocky Hill really for that reason is based on our schools. Our schools are an important investment. I look at them as an investment in the town, and they provide value to our town. And cuts in our schools is really a cut to Rocky Hill value. The BOE has worked their budget with the input of the community, which I want to thank them for that. I think that was great that they actually used the community this time. The BOE's budget increase of 8.98, I know it sounds like really high, but when I started to look at it, I mean, 1.25 of it is really to address the services and the programming in town. The rest of it is all tied to contractual obligations, which we don't have a control over. So I kind of look at that 1.25 to make sure that we keep that in our budget, you know, to maintain our services. The loss of 11 teachers over the years, programming services that a number of people have already talked about, have endured over the last, few years, hurts Rocky Hill. And I'd like to see that go back to sustain what we were used to in a good school system. Statewide, Rocky Hill has one of the lowest spending per capita. I don't even understand that. It's like, why? I just think we need to do better in that area. I know the BOE budget was difficult to process, and I want to thank all the board members for really, I know the efforts that they put into this budget to unanimously put forth a plan that benefits our entire community. This budget is a result of the BOE and the community, and I really encourage the council to pass this budget with no further cuts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. If I put it off any further, I would not have the nerve to come up here. So, hi, my name is Amy Forcier. I live at 30 Wildwood Lane. I share the school liaison position with our deputy mayor. I'm sorry I haven't been here to speak to you previously. I've been passing notes along to Mimi, and she's been sharing it on my behalf. But I wanted to come here in person today to share my thoughts. I have 3 children in 3 different schools in our district, and I attended every single Board of Education budget workshop over the past few months. I listened to district leaders and specialists present their needs, and I watched Board of Ed members from both sides of the aisle ask very thoughtful questions and examine even the smallest line items to craft the budget that was sent to you. On the surface, I can understand why a nearly 9% increase is difficult to accept. But as you know, much of that increase is driven by costs that are largely out of the district's control. Contracted salary obligations, sharply higher medical benefit costs, and rising transportation expenses. This is not a wish list budget of optional extras. It is a budget that funds essential services and investments so our schools can meet students where they are. Whether that's smaller class sizes for a 5-year-old, more mental health and behavioral supports for children in crisis, increased special education services at higher grade levels, or language supports that allow multilingual students to access grade level curriculum. I also want to briefly address the importance of investing in our shared school facilities. We cannot continue to ignore deferred maintenance. Years of budget constraint have left critical building and equipment needs underfunded. Replacing aging HVAC systems, installing a new roof, and replacing soon-to-be unusable classroom furniture are not cosmetic projects. Delaying these repairs increases long-term costs and risks disrupting learning. I understand the council's responsibility to manage taxpayer dollars and the political cost of supporting a budget that raises taxes. I also know that investing in our schools is an investment in the whole community, in safety, property values, workforce readiness, and the future of our town. Please approve the Board of Education budget. It is responsible, carefully developed, and aimed at providing the education and facilities our children deserve. Thank you for your time and for considering the needs of our students and families.
Thank you. Anyone? Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council, and our fellow Rocky Hill neighbors. My name is Tulsi Patel, and I'm honored to invite you to the 2026 BAPS Charities Walk and Run. This event is very special to me because I have been part of the BAPS Charities Walk since I was a child. Growing up, I remember attending the walk with my family and seeing so many people come together for one purpose, to serve others. At the time, I did not fully understand all the planning and effort that went behind the scenes, but I always knew I wanted to be a part of it in a bigger way one day. This year, I have had the privilege of serving as the walk lead, and it has been truly an amazing experience. Being able to work with such a dedicated team and see all the effort that goes behind it into organizing this event has given me a deeper appreciation for the spirit of service that BAPS Charities represents. We are proud that this year's walk will once again support our local heroes, the Rocky Hill Fire Department, the Newington Police Department, and the Newington Fire Department as well. These first responders serve our community every single day, and this walk is a meaningful way for us to show our gratitude. As we look towards celebrating America's 250 years, this year's theme, the spirit of service, reminds us that giving back is one of the strongest values that brings communities together. We invite everyone to join us on Sunday, May 31st at 2 p.m. at Elmridge Park, Rocky Hill, to walk together, support our first responders, and celebrate the spirit of service. Thank you, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Komal Patel. I live at 23 Knoll Lane in Rocky Hill, and I've been a Rocky Hill resident since 2010, so I've really had the privilege to be a part of this community for quite a while. I'm here today representing BAPS Charities and would want to invite you to the walk run that Tulsi just shared. This event is happening at Elmridge Park on May 31st. I have the flyers, which I'll also pass down shortly. Please recycle if you choose to discard. BAPS Charities is a volunteer-driven nonprofit organization focused on what we call the spirit of service. Basically, people bringing people together, and we give back and strengthen our communities. Our walk run event is a really nice, family-friendly event where people of all ages come together, and it's not just to stay active, but also to support to a meaningful cause, which is local. Even this year, we are proud to support our Rocky Hill Volunteer Fire Department, the Newington Fire Department, and the Newington Volunteer Police Department. These organizations keep me, my family, my friends, my community safe. We are also using this event as an opportunity to celebrate the upcoming 250th anniversary of American independence, making it even more meaningful time for us to come together and to reflect on the shared values like service and unity. For me personally, as someone who has lived in Rocky Hill for years, I've called Rocky Hill my home. It means a lot to be a part of something that gives back locally. Thank you so much for your time and letting us speak in today's meeting. We hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, Town Council members, and my fellow community members, thank you. My name is Dinesh. I live in 98 Kobe Road, Rocky Hill. In today's world, most of us are glued to our screens, and just walking and spending time with community is becoming a forgotten joy. When was the last time you actually noticed warm sunshine on your skin, the blue sky above your head, or the green grass under your feet, without getting distracted by notifications on your phone? That's what walk gives us back. And that's why I am here, that's why we are here today. And not just walk, but a community walk, and a walk with the spirit of service. So with that spirit, I welcome you all to join us at our annual BAPS Charities Walk Run event, when on Sunday, May 31st at 2 p.m., where at Elmridge Park, our favorite park in Rocky Hill. Driven by the motto, the spirit of service, this event has raised vital funds for over 20 years. Last year alone, over 45,000 participants joined across 100 plus cities nationwide, supporting 90 plus local beneficiaries, first responders, food banks, educational institutions, and healthcare organizations. Right here in Rocky Hill, funds raised will also support organizations like our very own Rocky Hill Volunteer Fire Department. I'm also excited to share that we have partnered with America 250 initiative, which will serve as a central theme for this year's walk. Also, this year we expect around 50,000 participants to walk during the event nationwide. This is more than just a walk. It is a chance to unite for the greater good, embrace a healthier lifestyle, and find joy in serving others. We hope you will join us in making meaningful impact one step at a time, because in the joy of others lies our own. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Gregory Pickett, 12 Washington Street, right over there. So I'll just say, maybe a bit anomalous, but no children, but I am a graduate of the Rocky Hill High School system, the whole Rocky Hill school system, not just high school. And I really do believe that I want to invest in the town like it invested me. Understandably, government's all about trade-offs. That's your job. That's the hard part. But I do have fond memories of doing pottery in elementary school. I have this ugly clay jar I made, wonderful. I remember shop class, wonderful. Neither skill I use in my day-to-day life, white collar job, all that. But I will say, looking back, I do think childhood should be a time for wonder and discovery. Sappy, I know, but I'll just leave by saying it's really short, and I think we can all attest you don't appreciate it until it's gone.
Thank you.
Good evening, Alan Bagley at 10 Esther Road. I'm the flashcards guy. I had 5, but I'm only going to do 3 today because I think a lot has been said that I agree with. And I tucked these cards into this notebook randomly, and I see that on the notebook, February 13th, 2021, visit 3 homes. Crestdale Road, Glastonbury, State Street, Weathersfield, 10 Esther Road, Rocky Hill. February 23rd, inspection. And we moved in April, and I've been paying very close attention to the town of Rocky Hill, and I'm very proud to live here. Everyone spoke about the budget, in which I fully support. I would ask you to pass the budget fully. I hear the idiom, kicking the can down the road. Mayor Smith uses it repeatedly. I'm going to suggest a couple alternatives to that idiom. The Cambridge Dictionary defends this as to avoid or delay dealing with a problem. It sounds like me trying to patch up the mice holes in the basement. To avoid or delay dealing with a problem. Another way of putting that, if you'd like to add this to your repertoire, deferring or deferred payments. No one does that. No one supports deferred payments. Pushback. Put it on the back burner. Put a pin in it. Dilly-dally. Take a rain check or a rain delay. I love this one, the rope-a-dope. This is, does everybody know George Foreman, 1949 Rumble in the Jungle, the rope-a-dope? Let your opponent wear down, flip the script. Spinning your wheels, slow your roll, pump the brakes, and finally I leave you with stall tactics. Thank you for your service. Thank you to the Public Works commemoration, and pass this budget.
Thank you. Do we have, yep.
I don't know if you can hear me. My name's Melissa. I live on Hayes currently. My family's been part of this community for about, I would say, a good 40 years, between Orchard, Willow, and my kids have all gone through, all 3 of my boys have gone through the high school, through the middle school, Stevens School, and me, myself, I grew up in Hartford, and it's considered not a good place to learn, especially when you're an intelligent child. But I do know that education is very important. We need to make that a priority because it is an investment, as someone else had said previously, not just in our town, but in our kids. They are the future of where they're going to be sitting, where you are right now, making the decisions. And the only way to do that is to sit up there and provide for them. And I know it can be scary, frustrating, hearing all of our disappointments. And in the end, it has to come down to what matters, what is our priority, and how that affects our future. So I would appreciate for my kids that you would think about them when you're making these decisions, because that is what matters. So I would hope you would definitely approve and safeguard that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Steve Slattery, Old Main Street. So we all have to budget in our own lives, right? We work, we make money. Hopefully we're fortunate enough that we make enough money to pay our expenses. Hopefully we're even more fortunate and we are able to save some money. Maybe we're even more fortunate and we're able to, do some extras. But sitting in the seats that you sit, the consequences of your decisions reach everyone in the community. So if my wife and I decide we want to go on a more extravagant vacation, we can make that decision, we can work harder, we can save some more money, and we can go on a vacation. The decisions that you guys make as a council affect everybody. And in that situation, particularly in a town like Rocky Hill, you're dealing with some people who have 6- to 7-figure salaries, live in mansions. You're dealing with some people who are working 2 jobs to barely make the ends meet. I'm not here to comment about any specific asks, about any specific department, because I was not involved in those deep deliberations, and I know often the devil's in the details. But I think it's important to understand that, you represent everyone when you're up here, people who have kids in school, people who don't have kids in school. Obviously, education is important. Our children are our future. But it's important to remember that, in this seat, you all are not just affecting, it's not money that grows on trees. This is money that comes out of people's pockets in our town. And some of them don't even pay attention because they make enough that it doesn't really matter. And others are watching this with bated breath because it could affect whether they can stay in town or not. So I ask that you keep that all in mind. And, Mr. Mayor, majority council members, you guys ran on a ticket of affordability, and I just hope we can see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? Frank Shank, 121 Pebblebrook Drive. Responsible taxes and affordability. As we grow, we must balance progress with affordability. Someone here said this on their platform when they were running. I'm not criticizing it, but it's true. They said family and seniors shouldn't be priced out of town they love. Everybody has a family here, and I'm a senior. I know I see some other seniors. They love, and I will advocate for responsible budgeting that works for everyone. And I'm not criticizing what this person said. They know who they are. Actually, I like what they said, and they know who they are. Some other people ran on the same platform here. affordability. And they came to my house, they knocked on my door. They told me how they were going to save taxes for us with grants from the state and other ways. What I'm hoping is that you guys come together and you're not divided anymore. I mean, when you read what this says, as we grow, some of you people on the council are new. You've only been in town a short time. I didn't grow up here, but my kids grew up here, and they got an excellent education right here in town. And I'm proud of them. And I know anyone else that goes to school in this town could get an excellent education. That's a fact. It's unfortunate that some of the schools, they, from what I hear, is not in good shape. But we need a balanced progress with affordability. And how do we do that? We can't just take all our money now and throw it in this year. That doesn't make sense. We got to balance progress. How do we do that? Think ahead. Well, obviously in the past we didn't think ahead. Families and seniors shouldn't be priced out of town. What's happening? Well, my taxes are going up. I know everyone's taxes are going up. And I'll be honest with you, taxes are going real high here. I mean, I've been here, and my taxes doubled since I lived here. And it's high. It's unbelievable how much I pay in taxes. But responsible budgeting that works for everyone, that's what we need to think about. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Pat Hughes Walworth. I've lived in Rocky Hill 83 years, and I love Rocky Hill, and my children went to school in Rocky Hill. But when the platform that some of you had when you were running was affordability and no increase in taxes, and the previous two gentlemen that spoke said it very well and in detail, and I hope you can stick to that commitment that we felt was being made to us and for us. And thank you for all your time and your dedication that you all put in.
Thank you. Anyone else present would like to offer any comments? I believe we have some written.
I only have 8.
Okay.
This one is from Kathy and Jim Alexander. Good evening. Although we have no children in our school system, we wholeheartedly support the Board of Education budget. It is an imperative that we need to reverse the loss of teachers and to make all necessary investments to maintain our infrastructure. We will never go up if we continue to use Band-Aids instead of putting forth the funds that are truly necessary. We need to retain and hire highly qualified teachers, reduce classroom sizes, and provide health and safety resources to our students. We ask you for your serious consideration supporting this year's budget. This one is from Lori Bosky. I am writing to share my strong support for the proposed Rocky Hill Board of Education budget for 2026-27. The Board of Education's presentation at their budget workshop on May 5th provided a convincing rationale behind every dollar of that proposed budget. Rocky Hill schools are schools of excellence. The proposed budget maintains that excellence and gives us the opportunity to grow into the future. I urge you to support this budget. From Daniel Bishop. Dear council members, my name is Daniel Bishop, a resident at 17 Kensington Lane in town, and I write this in support of adopting the budget as proposed by the BOE without further modification. It is imperative that our leaders take the time to trust that 1 + 1 = 2 when it comes to this budget. When class sizes are smaller, our kids perform better academically and benefit mentally. 1 + 1 = 2. When it comes to capital improvement projects, it is factual that kicking the can down the road will only lead to higher costs to the taxpayers in the future. 1 + 1 = 2. It is beyond argument that we can only retain excellent faculty for our kids by meeting our obligations for salary and benefits. 1 + 1 = 2. Rocky Hill can only thrive when we provide resources to support a diverse population by funding social workers and special education faculty to make sure all of our students have a chance at that greatness that they are capable of achieving. 1 + 1 = 2. When the BOE unanimously approves a budget proposal on a bipartisan basis, that is proof of them working in the best interest of the children and their educators. 1 + 1 = 2. This analogy is not intended to be literal, but rather to point out when something makes sense. Do not waste time doubting it just for the sake of doing so. It is true that Rocky Hill already exceeds performance standards, but do not let that be an impediment to continued growth and improvement. One day, these students will all succeed us and replace us, no matter how old or young we are today. They deserve the best opportunity to do better than we did, to achieve heights we never dreamed possible, and to reflect the greatness of this community. I implore this council to let logic govern and to unanimously approve this budget for the good of our town and our students. Thank you, Daniel Bishop. Reverend Kurt Rhodes. I am in complete support of this budget. Whatever the town decides to do, I am in complete support of that as well. This is my support email to the town of Rocky Hill and the Rocky Hill Town Council. I am behind this budget, again, 100%. Thank you, Reverend Kurt Rhodes, Rocky Hill Democratic Town Committee member and naming committee member. Thank you, and God bless. Kurt Rhodes. Tony Saculo. My name is Anthony Saculo, and with my wife, we own our home and reside at 58 Jennifer's Way in Rocky Hill. I am unable to attend tonight's town council meeting. However, I would like to provide my support to the Board of Education at the May 18th town council meeting. My wife and I are seniors without children or grandchildren who live in Rocky Hill. You would intuitively think that we would want to keep the Board of Ed budgets low to minimize impact on property taxes. However, we feel that children are our investment in the future, and supporting your education is one way our legacy can impact the future. From the data I've seen, the previous administration has, for far too many years, chipped away at the BOE budget, causing severe teacher shortages, resulting in crowded classes. Despite these difficulties, the BOE has been doing an amazing job in maintaining services and in educating our children. The dollars per child we have been spending is close to the lowest in the state. Rocky Hill can and should be doing better for its teachers and its students. I and my wife are very much in support of reversing the past administration's trends and realistically funding the Board of Ed's budget up to the level requested. It is a worthwhile investment for our future. Thank you, Anthony Saculo. This is from Nancy Rabbit. As residents, we should all be supporting our town's BOE budget. In doing this, we would be able to increase teacher salaries and benefits so that we'd be able to attract and retain excellent teachers and reduce class sizes. Hire social workers and special education teachers to work with our diverse population and support and maintain the infrastructure with necessary capital improvements. Most Rocky Hill residents have had or will have children in the school system. Don't we want what's best for them? The school district is, after all, a big reason why we all chose to live here. That is why I support this increase in the Board of Education budget. Thank you, Ann Rabbit. From Jeffrey Levine. Dear Rocky Hill Town Council members, I am writing to express my concern regarding the proposed significant increase in the Board of Education budget. While I understand the importance of supporting our schools, providing students with quality education opportunities, the staggering 9% proposed increase raises serious affordability concerns for many residents in Rocky Hill. During the recent election cycle, affordability and lowering the tax burden were central priorities emphasized by the current administration after an overall increase of a modest 3.6% last year. If the current majority said that increase was unaffordable, how do they explain more than twice a large of an increase? How is this exemplifying fiscal discipline? While a modest increase is expected, the 9% increase for Board of Education and 8.4% increase in overall for the town that are being contemplated appear vastly inconsistent with campaign commitments. Even with a rumored possible cut in the increase by $250,000 for BOE, it would still have an increase of 8.5%, and an overall budget would still increase over 8.1%. I respectfully ask the council to carefully evaluate the proposed budget and consider whether there are opportunities to reduce spending growth, identify efficiencies, and phase in expenditures more gradually. Residents should not be placed in a position where a significant tax increase become the default solution. As someone that worked extensively on the last 8 town budgets, I appreciate the difficult balancing act involved in municipal budgeting and recognize that there are competing priorities. However, maintaining affordability for taxpayers must remain a key consideration in the decision-making process. Thank you for your time and consideration. Jeffrey Levine, former town council member. Dear Mayor and Town Council, as an owner of 2 homes in Rocky Hill, I am very concerned about the size of the increase in taxes this year. What I do not understand is that the current mayor ran on 2 promises. 1, lowering taxes, 2, growing the grand list. From what I have seen, there has been no attempt in lowering taxes. In fact, after each department presented their budgets during the workshop, what I heard from some of the council was, what else do you need? I also heard the underlying myth spoken. Several of the town council referred to past budgets as being underfunded. Efficiency while achieving excellence results is not underfunding, it's excellence. Was lowering taxes just a campaign lie/promise? After tonight, we will know, and the electorate will hold the appropriate people responsible during the next elections. Thank you for this opportunity to express my opinion. John Beatty, 698 Maple Street. That is all I have.
All right. Any other public comment before we wrap up that portion? Going once, going twice? All right, thank you everybody for your comments. Next up is appointments and resignations.
We don't have any. Councilor Whalen?
We do have one nomination of Steve Slattery for a memorial naming committee.
Great. Congrats.
Thank you.
Next up, approval of minutes.
I move approval of the town council meeting, minutes of the town council meeting from May 4th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I move approval of the town council, minutes of the town council budget workshop from April 30th.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
One abstention.
I move approval of the minutes of the town council budget workshop of May 5th.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstention.
One abstention.
And I move approval of the minutes of the town council budget workshop of May 12th.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to subcommittee reports. And one abstention from May 5th, 12th? Okay. Moving on to subcommittee reports, finance and capital improvements.
We had a meeting on Tuesday, May 12th. In general, a summary for revenues and expenditures, everything is on target. We did have a discussion, and you'll see it on the consent agenda, regarding the solid waste disposal, sanitation, and what that is it was a 4-year bid, right, Mona? Or 4-year contract.
Yes.
And it's a tri-town bid with Rocky Hill, Weathersfield, and Newington, and it was open for municipal waste and recycling, disposal services. The bid received 3 responses, and 2 vendors submitted proposals for 4-year contracts. Murphy Road Recycling of Enfield was the lowest bidder, and Murphy Road has served Rocky Hill in the previous years. So the Finance Committee unanimously is sending this to the council for approval for the contract. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Because most of this stuff is budget. Our next meeting is Tuesday, June 9th at 5 p.m.
Great. Government ops.
Next meeting is June 2nd, 6 o'clock.
All right. Public safety.
Public safety. We had a meeting tonight before this one. And fire department had 73 total calls for April. They had, bear with me because my notes are not clear here. They have a firefighter 1, they had a firefighter 1 class starting May 1st, and they currently have 80 members, which includes 4 fire police members. Let's see, we talked about emergency management. They do have monthly meetings with Eversource to discuss storm preparedness and other emergency situations. And then there's a note going out, or communication going out, that tomorrow there will be a heat advisory, including Hartford County, and temperatures could hit 100 degrees in some of the urban areas.
Ew.
Yeah. Ambulance, there were a total of 355 medical calls for the month of April. And this is EMS week. So congratulations to all of those that are in emergency management services or medical services. With the police, there's a community program about hate crimes being offered on June 8th in Newington Town Council chambers from 6 to 7:30. And that's an informational public safety information. I thought I had the flyer here, but I guess not. So people are encouraged to attend June 8th, 6 to 7:30 at Newington Town Council headquarters. We also had a presentation about the high school parking plan. There's an issue regarding during school hours, students parking on side streets because the parking lot is filled. So we had a presentation about some of the remediation, and it's going to be continued at our next Public Safety Committee meeting, which is Monday, June 15th at 5:30. That's it.
That's it. All right. Thank you. Senior liaison.
I have no report today, but and our next meeting will be Tuesday, May 26th at 4 p.m. because Monday's Memorial Day.
Land acquisition and farmland preservation.
No report. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 26th at 6 PM.
Liaison to the state rep and state senator.
Thank you, Mayor. I will try to keep this brief. It actually is our first town council meeting since the session ended, so I'm just going to do a quick recap. This was a strong session for our town with hard work from Representative Kerry Wood and Senator Matt Lesser and active support from members of this council. On broader town and our broader town delegation, several priorities we testified on made it across the finish line. Much of that advocacy was bipartisan. I think that does matter. These were not partisan wins. These were Rocky Hill wins. They brought additional state aid, preserved public land, expanded infrastructure flexibility, and strengthened economic development opportunities that connect directly to our town. Senate Bill 1, an act concerning affordability, delivered major new state aid for Rocky Hill, aid that has had a positive impact on this budget process. And our representatives really went to bat for us on those negotiations. House Bill 5581, a conveyance of a parcel of state land to us, brings that never-built I-291 ramp land back home to Rocky Hill. The town takes ownership at administrative cost instead of fair market value and turns a stranded state parcel into preserved public land for open space or passive recreation. House Bill 5501, an act expanding permissible uses of town aid road grant funds, and I'm going to get in trouble with the town manager for explicitly saying what it allows us to do, but it went through the budget implementer, and we were the only town to provide any support, actually the only group to provide any support for it in testimony in person. And it ended up in the implementer. It allows us more flexibility with state road funds for drainage, storm resiliency, vegetation management, equipment, transit, and preventative road work. That's solid infrastructure policy. It lets us do a lot more with what we're getting from the state. And we had a wholly unified town council on that bill, and I thought that was really wonderful. And it was noticed up there. It was noticed. Senate Bill 132, an act establishing the Connecticut-Germany Trade Commission. It strengthens Connecticut's relationship with Germany. For us here in Rocky Hill, that relationship is pretty real and pretty local. We have Arberg, we have Henkel, we have MTU Aero Engines North America in our town. This creates a formal commission to deepen trade in a way that directly connects Rocky Hill's economic future to the state's mission. And then there was Senate Bill 274, which was non-resident landlord registration and increasing penalties for repeat violations of building and fire code violations. It was being called the concierge bill around the House of Representatives by the end of the session. It ran out of time. After the events of the crisis, it was pretty disappointing for a lot of us here. Towns really do need stronger tools when repeated housing failures become public safety crises. Rocky Hill showed up, we pushed hard, we nearly got there. This was a strong session and a meaningful one for Connecticut. Not every priority we had crossed the finish line, but many did because people showed up, they testified, they worked across the aisle, and they stayed with the process. Thank you to Representative Kerry Wood, Senator Matt Lesser, our town delegation, and the bipartisan members of our council who helped move this work forward. We are raising our profile at a state level, and it's making a difference. Next year will be even sharper. I'm proud of what we accomplished, and I'm also clear-eyed about what we can improve. Next session will be more organized, will be more coordinated, and more prepared than ever. No stone's going to be left unturned when it comes to the needs of the town. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. School liaison.
We have no report today.
All right. Moving on to consent agenda.
I move approval of the award, the contract, or the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion?
Been noticed.
All in favor? Sorry. All right. And seeing no old business, we're on to new business, budget adoption and setting the mill rate. 26-27 budget. Do we have a motion?
Read it first.
No, you can make a motion.
I move that we adopt the town council resolution dated May 18th, 2026, town council budget adjustments, and our director of finance chairman will read the adjustments.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to add one thing to the motion. Be it resolved that the following budget adjustments for the 26-27 fiscal year are approved. That's just part of the motion. So account 011-00100, Department Town Council, reduction of $2,500. Account 011-00200, Department Town Manager, reduction $2,500. Account 011-00400, Department Finance, reduction of 5,000. Account 011-00500, Department Assessor, reduction of 2,700. Account 011-00600, Department Tax Collector, reduction 2,500. Account 011-00700, Department Central, fees, reduction of 20,000. Account 011-01000, Department Registrar, reduction of 46,000. Account 011-01100, Department Town Clerk, adding 5,000. Account 011-01700, Department Economic Development, a reduction 20,000. Account 012-02102, Police Communications, a reduction 57,000. Account 012-02104, Police Patrol, reduction 48,433. Account 012-02104, Police Patrol, Tech Equipment, reduction 20,000. 012-02201, Fire Admin, Training, adding 12,000. Account 012-02201, Fire Admin Uniforms, reduction 8,000. Account 012-02204, Firefighting, Tech Supplies, reduction 25,000. Account 012-02401, Building, part-time, reduction 30,000. Account 012-02401, Building, Uniforms, reduction 2,000. Account 013-00103, Highway, Road, Supplies, reduction 30,000. Account 013-00401, Engineering, part-time, reduction 25,000. Account 013-00502, Sanitation, grinding, reduction 35,000. Account 014-00100, Health District, Town Assessment, adding 8,000. Account 014-00201, Human Services, part-time, adding 10,000. Account 015-00501, Facilities, part-time, reduction 60,000. Account 015-00501, Facilities, Building Improvement, reduction 15,000. Account 01802, Education, reduction 250,000. Account 019-00100, Employee Benefits Group Insurance, reduction 87,500. Account 019-00300, Contingency, reduction 100,000. Account 019-50000, CIP, Bus Incentive, reduction 150,000. Same account number, CIP, Revaluation, reduction 25,000. Same account number, School Improvement, reduction 200,000. Same account number, CIP, Road Repair, reduction 100,000. Same account number, CIP, Parks Facilities Improvement, reduction 100,000. Same account number, CIP, Fire Equipment, reduction 60,000. Same account number, CIP, Parks Equipment, reduction 46,950. Same account number, CIP, Police Vehicles, reduction 150,000. Same account number, CIP, Highway Vehicles, reduction 50,000. Same account number, CIP, Parks Vehicles, reduction 35,000. And finally, account number 012022900, ambulance, contributions, reduction 10,000. For a total of an add of 35,000 and a reduction of 1,821,083 for a net reduction of 1,786,083.
Thank you, John. Discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to amend that proposal. On behalf of the.
Do we have a?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
You should give us what the amendment is first before we,
What's that?
you should give us what the amendment is before we second it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just.
It's a reduction,
read through-
further
yeah,
reduction
read it
in,
and just-
further reduction in the 2026, 2027 budget for the town of Rocky Hill. Ready?
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll second it again.
Yeah.
okay. I'd like to further reduce 011-01700, economic development, full-time position, reduction of 52,000. 012-02-104, police patrol officer, reduction $98,666. 012-022-01, fire administration, fire training, 0. Instead of increasing it by the 12,000, we'll leave it as budgeted by the town manager. 011-01700, economic development grant writer, minus 15,000. 014-00201, human services, leave as the town manager's budget, 0. 012-02-104, police patrol overtime, minus deduction of 29,000. 012-021-04, police patrol tows, minus reduction of $1,500. 012-02-104, patrol, tires and tubes for police, minus $5,000. 012-02-104, police patrol, vehicle parts, reduced $10,000. 012-022-05, firefighting, fire staffing and activities, reduction of $7,500. 012-022-06, fire apparatus, fire equipment, reduction of $6,000. 01550-100, library part-time hours, minus $13,000. 01900-100, employees' health insurance, minus $60,000. 01802, education, we propose a reserve reduction to 6% increase from last year and a reduction of $1,650,000. That would bring our mill rate down to 31.19, with a mill rate increase from last year of 0.95, less than a percent, or less than a mill.
Any discussion on this amendment?
Only to say that I find that to be an irresponsible amount of cuts to make to this budget. That's it.
Anything from the folks who are proposing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can start. So I take exception to what Councilor Van Luling is saying, because the Board of Ed budget is increasing by 6%, which is higher than it has ever risen by in a decade, okay? With this amendment, which is twice the inflation rate, I think, given all the discussions we have had here, that's a pretty responsible position where you're threading the needle between being responsible, keeping this town affordable, and actually giving the Board of Education what they need. compared to the majority's giveaway of 10% without actually making the effort to actually get to a place where we can have something affordable for the rest of the town. It's like my kid asking me for $500 of monthly expense, and I'm giving him like 200. It's akin to that. And I found it very interesting when we were having these discussions during the budget sessions, and we have a lot of departments come in here and asking for a cost of living increase. And we patted them on the back and said, great job, guys. You run a really solid department with like 4% increase year over year. Then we get to like Board of Education, which is the biggest part of our budget, and it is our duty to scrutinize it the best we can, because that is the biggest impact on our budget, obviously. And here we are, where we are reducing $250,000 from a 10% increase of a budget line item, which is 55% of this town's budget. It doesn't look responsible to me to not be scrutinizing that budget line. And here we are, like we are talking about a 9% increase from the majority, from a mayor who ran on affordability. And we have an amendment here which will actually make that impact a little less severe. It will mitigate it a little bit by bringing it down to a 6% increase, 6.5% increase, and bring the mill rate, the increase in the mill rate down to 0.95. That seems to me the reasonable position here, Councilor Van Looling.
Can
Not the
I
responsible
ask you a
position.
question about responsibility? Oh, let him
Yeah,
talk.
let's-
Sorry. Sorry.
Give everybody a chance.
I thought you were
to
done.
talk, and then
Apologies.
we'll-
Keep going.
Well, there was a direct
Yeah, you're
comment,
right. I
and I'm
understand.
addressing that.
I understood. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, thank you.
So I'll start
Can
with
we,
this.
yeah, let's hear from everybody
okay,
once.
sorry, I thought.
If everybody wants to comment on this, and then we can revisit it with respect to everybody's time, and we got plenty to talk about.
Yep.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
Yeah, sure. With Board of Ed, one of the things we've been very fortunate is we've had an incredible superintendent, and the board has worked well with them. And the numbers show it. We're at the top of our peer group. We'd be in the middle of the next largest peer group, and those numbers speak volumes. And over the years, they've been used to a 3 to 4% increase, and I know there's been some talk about how they've been underfunded, but the numbers and statistics sometimes lie. We had 1.7 requested for CIP in the Board of Ed last year. We gave them 100,000, but we let them keep 1.6 million. So they were fully funded on the CIP, yet it's out there that they weren't. So I sometimes take exception to statistics. You can make them work to your advantage. In addition to that, I've heard a few of the public people say something about hiring teachers and whatnot. If I'm not mistaken, only one of the 6 new hires is a teacher. So you're not getting your teachers, but you're going to go up an incredible amount in terms of what we're going to give you to spend money on. So I have a problem with that. And then it was also said that 7.64% was due to salary and contracts. Well, that included the new salaries. So it's really not 7.6%. And when you start to dive down on these numbers and you try to make them look good for you, and yet then you dive into them, see that, whoa, wait a minute, that's not the true story. So again, 7.64% presented to us saying it was for salary and contracts, but that's because we added 6.2 positions to the budget. So yes, I do think we're warranted to have that discussion about how much we give to the Board of Ed. I also have a comment on the overall budget that I'll say, and hopefully if I have to have a rebuttal later, I'd have that. I want to thank Ray and Mona. I think they gave very clear direction and instruction to all the department heads. I thought All of the department heads did a great job coming up there, presenting their budget. I think they knew what their goal and objective was. We had good questions for them, they had good answers. Some department heads are better than others. Certainly, I like the ones that came in with no increase except for salary and contracts. So they get the A+ on results and I think A on the effort. But I think what ended up happening during the whole budget process, which I was very impressed with, as I said, is after they were done, and their direction was clearly to do what they can do with as little as amount that they need. But then we go ahead, and you're almost subverting the direction of the town manager and Mona when you say, how else could you be helped, right? So they could all come with a laundry list or a wish list of things that they could use that would help them. Now, if I'm a department head, I might come out of that presentation I just did, go, boy, I didn't have the back of my staff. Because now they're asking me, I could have done maybe something else. And then the ones who came first, and you didn't kind of ask, because it wasn't everybody that you asked, what can we do to make life easier? I just feel like when you give them a task and they perform that task, you subvert what you told them to do, or we did that. And I do have a problem with that. So again, I thank the budget department heads because I thought they knew what they had to do. We're facing a time where luxury is not in the cards. Needs are in the cards. And if you go up, initially we're 2.72 with your amended, the first motion here, we went down to 1.46 or something like that. That's still, on a $450,000 home in Rocky Hill, we were gonna go up over $1,200 per household, and that doesn't include the cars. We're still gonna go at a 1.46, you're gonna go over about $700 per household. Okay, you do an average household in Rocky Hill. So I did 457 on the mill rate, for the personal property, another $59 for the car taxes. So, again, I'm not trying to use statistics to lie. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But that is the basis of our caucus and our presentation.
If you would, Mayor, I'd break down where our cuts and why we came up with those. Full-time economic person that wants to be fully funded. We believe that the part-time economic person, the mayor, and the town manager have been doing a good job, and they could continue doing that without funding a full-time position. The police patrol person, we say the cutout at this point because right now the town's engaged in an efficiency study, and the police department is the focus on that with emergency services. So our take on that is let the efficiency study run its course. See if we need more officers. Obviously, we're not going to cut any if they say we have too many, but let's see what that study comes out with before we jump to hiring a new police officer. They say we don't need the police officer. Are we now next budget say we're going to lay a police officer off? I don't think so, but we're just saying let's delay it and let's see what happens. Fire training. The Democratic Council here increased it by $12,000. We say let it stand as what the town manager's budget said was $88,000. Let it stand at that. The human service person, you are increasing the budget by $10,000. I think as Councilor Savini said, each department head was told to do the best they can with their budget. Our human services did not come with an increase of part-time staff, so that's why we said they didn't ask for it, we're not gonna fund it. The grant writer position that you want $15,000 for, we're just saying the economic development person can handle that. The police overtime, the police chief said if he could get the half a salary, he said he'd be fine cutting the $29,000 and extra of overtime. These are lumped in together. The police tow, the tires and tubes for the police vehicle parts, As July 1st, our police fleet's going to be downsizing, so we thought we could save a little money in those areas. Fire staff activities, we said hold it at last year's rate, last budgeted year's rate, instead of increasing it. There was an increase of $7,500, so that's why we took that out. Fire hose and equipment, we said our recommendation was use the I-91 Special Revenue Fund money to fund that. That's why we said it would be $6,000 out of that revenue fund to fund it. The library, we'd said to reduce it to part-time. We're not saying that we don't want the library fully funded. What we said was the library also has a special revenue fund. We said let them use some of their monies for their special revenue funds to fund their library personnel. The education budget, we determined to bring it down to 6% increase from last year. That's more significant than in the past few years, probably the last 6 years or so, that they've had that high of an increase. It's just the economic times, and we need to focus where we can make some impact on this budget to help bring down this mill rate. Thank you.
Okay. Any comment here? You could start with Melissa.
Oh, boy. All right.
Well, you jumped in before.
You know, I think everyone acknowledges that, you know, costs are high. All of us understand that, you know, the federal government is causing increases, costs is affecting us. Everything is getting more expensive, especially this year. Health insurance, gas, resulting in increases in transportation, food, and many other things, which is reflected in our budget. And our budget increases in staff salaries. Many are contractual, and healthcare, again, as I said before, healthcare and transportation services, especially in the Board of Education. As we said, 7-point-something% of the Board of Education increase is contractual staff salaries. We have proposed to reduce the budget by $250,000, which would make up for that additional staff that you mentioned, Councilor Savigny. So the 7-point-something% is things we can't really do anything about. So it's 1.25%, something like that, I think someone said, for the essential services that are needed. You know, there are other increases that are attributed to the deferment of activities or any of those other phrases Mr. Baglia mentioned by things previous administrations, such as bus transportation, HVAC systems at the elementary school, and cuts to essential services here in Rocky Hill. You know, yeah, we ran on affordability, we also ran on restoring these essential services. We also ran on ensuring senior education and healthcare services are available and maintained for our town. We listened to every town representative for their needs. We heard what the town wants from knocking on almost every single door. As a result, our mayor, our state liaison, our state representatives, our state senator, and many of our town councilors worked very hard to get additional funding and to reduce these, to meet with the town staff to reduce and cut every bit that they can, still be able to meet their goals and provide the main services in town. They, you know, worked really hard to bring down the cost with 35 line items of reductions totaling $1.8 million to leave only a 1.46 increase in the mill rate, equating to approximately $31 a month. I don't know where you got your numbers for a $400,000 house.
No, I said a $450,000 assessed value home.
Yeah, 400,000 K should be 31 or 30 something dollars a month.
You times 400 times 1.4 and it's $600. That's simple math.
For a year.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
for a year. But $30 a month.
Well, it's $40 a month. Right? Okay,
All right, we can.
Yeah. 1.46 times 400.
Well, if
I
you
mean,
have
that's the math.
$450,000 versus a $400,000 house, sorry. For the increases that we've all been seeing in our lives, I mean, to me, the amount of hard work that we've worked on is worth it.
When we had the reval, we had a line around the corner with seniors complaining.
Okay, all right, yeah, let's,
I'm
so
sorry.
everybody
My
go
apologies.
once,
Yep.
and then we can kind of circle back, okay? John.
I want to say this clearly. This budget is a choice, a decision about whether Rocky Hill continues an old familiar routine or begins to govern with some real vision. When we took office, we found a town and school system that were still performing very well. But too often it's because the people inside them were carrying more than they should have been asked to carry. That speaks very well of them. It does not speak well of the pattern that made that level of strain necessary. For too long, Rocky Hill relied on short-term relief, politically manageable cuts, and delayed obligations pushed into the future. But the future eventually arrives. Deferred staffing, deferred infrastructure, deferred pension obligations, that was a big one last year. Deferred school needs and deferred town capacity do not disappear. They become more expensive, more urgent, and harder to reverse. This budget begins to change that. It protects core services, it invests in students, it strengthens public safety, supports seniors and families, and gives economic development the tools it needs to compete. It also reflects discipline, with more than $1.7 million in targeted savings and meaningful state support to lessen the burden on our taxpayers, and that took a lot of effort. The difference in governing approach is this. We are looking honestly at our obligations. We're making real adjustments where they're justified and still investing in the capacity Rocky Hill will need 5 and 10 years from now. There's no more road left to kick this can down. Repeating the old familiar pattern would consume stability, not preserve it. This budget is a necessary corrective step. It reflects a council willing to govern with foresight again, to protect what works, repair what has been strained, and plan for the town we intend to remain. For those reasons, I will be voting yes on the budget as it was presented and not as it will be amended if we offer that amendment.
Mukesh, John, Mimi?
Yeah, because I have to leave at 8:30.
You want to go first? Why don't
Yeah.
you go first? Yep.
I'm going to take a different perspective on this, and I've been thinking about this the past couple of months, and I don't think anybody can really dispute what I'm going to say. I'm looking, this is my 11th budget. I've been very happy with some of the budgets I've voted on. I've been disappointed with some. I've regretted some that I voted for. But for this year, I'm looking 5 years ahead. And over the next 5 years, with capital improvements, infrastructure that's going to be needed, vehicles, things like that, it's down here. And Mona, please correct me if I'm wrong on this capital. But over the next 5 years, we're going to need $45 million. And I know, the past couple of years, we've been fine-tuning, trying to cut things here and there. And this year, it just seems like the Board of Ed, the spotlight is on the school district for the funding. And over the next 5 years, is going to be at least $10 million that is going to be needed. And if we don't fund some of these things or contribute towards the funding of these things, costs will increase over the next 5 years, 6 to 10%. So we're just making that wound worse. So that's why people say we're, past budgets or whatever, we're kicking the can down the road or delaying things. It's time to think about the next 5 years and long-term objectives, because nobody likes to take on additional debt. Nobody likes referendums. We're paying things off. We got Mosier, we got the high school, we got the land referendum, we got the public safety referendum, we have the senior center. We're paying that off. We don't want to add to it. But yet we have these infrastructure needs, like we're fixing a leaky roof at West Hill. We have the HVAC at Stevens. We have road improvements. We have the Tech Ed and Media Center at GMS, the front entrance canopy at GMS. All of these things, including culverts in roads that need to be funded. And if we don't start thinking about funding these things, $45 million is going to turn into $60 million by the time the bill is due. And that's my concern. So if anybody wants to look at a fiscal conservative, they can look at me, because I'm one to really tighten the screws on spending. But we just can't continue to think that we're going to do it next year or in 3 years. We've got to start filling the holes now. I know for the past 12 years we've been talking about the Elmridge pool, and we started saving for that, and then it got wiped out, and we have nothing for Elmridge pool, and one of these days it's not going to be usable. So that's my perspective on this. I support it. I went through the Rocky Hill school system. I'm a big advocate on it. I'm proud of what they've done over Zito's, Dr. Zito's tenure. And I would hate for us to be in a position that we start slipping in our numbers because of underfunding, or we didn't do something with programs, and it's going to take much more money to bring us back up to 1 and 2 status. And I'm so glad that we are in the same conversation as Glastonbury and Avon and Canton and Simsbury. It just makes me very proud, and I just don't want to risk slipping in those categories. So that's my perspective. If I'm here for the vote, I support it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Amy?
This year has obviously been a very challenging year for working on the budget, and there's a few reasons for that. And I've been on the council for 7 years, once in the, this was my 8th year, once in the majority and 6 years in the minority. And it was rather frustrating. In my opinion, there were, the last 5-6 years, there were some services and some construction projects that were not adequately managed or funded. Case in point, the HVAC at Stevens School. We could have used ARP money for that, and we would have had a matching grant, and it would have been done. We've been doing patchwork. We lost the grant, and we've increased at least $1 million or $1.5 million in cost and we're still doing it. The same thing with the West Hill roof. These are things that I think could have been done in the past. The current budget that we are under now, there was a decrease in services in the schools. Now, yes, it's a large increase and it's unfortunate, but some of it is, first of all, there's contractual obligations that were contracts that were entered into 4 years ago. Things were better. That's when you have a 3-4 year contract. Sometimes that happens. You win some, you lose some. Well, those are built-in raises. The healthcare you have one catastrophic illness and that jacks up the price. That was an increase of 40% or something like this. It's a significant increase. And 14% for buses due to the increase in the fuel costs. I have concerns with some of the cuts of public things I look at, some of the deductions for the police and the fire. That's public safety. And we expect them to go out in all kinds of weather and all this kind of stuff. I'm not sure that I want to cut their budget for tubes for their cars, because they can have an accident, they can get hurt, and they can hurt me too if I'm out there driving or walking. And so that's public safety. Same thing with the fire training. Their lives depend on it, so does mine, so does everybody's in this room. And as far as the Board of Ed budget, I think the increase that they have recommended is going to cause layoff in teachers. It's going to increase the class sizes. And anybody who's not been a school teacher, never been in a classroom, yeah, when I went to school, we had 28, 30 people in a class. But if you got out of line, you got punished when you got home. I mean, you didn't mess around. It's a different world today. The kids have a lot more on their plate. A lot of the younger kids that were home during COVID, they don't socialize as well, so they need smaller classes, they need more attention. It's just a reality of what happened in the world. And I think that size of a decrease is going to negatively impact the outcomes for our students. And we are proud of our school system. I went through the Rocky Hill school system. My son went through a Rocky Hill school system. And we're successful, and I want even better for the people that have younger children that are still in the school system, that they are our future. So I think that decrease is just too severe. So I am going to support the initial resolution, and I will be voting in favor of it.
So I just wanted to go back to one thing, because it has been mentioned a couple of times.
Well, let Mukesh, and then we'll
Oh,
go
I
back.
didn't realize Mukesh wanted to
Yeah,
go, so.
then we'll go back.
Yeah. And so, no, please. No, I didn't realize you were going, so it's okay. Go ahead, finish your thought.
My question is to you only.
Okay, perfect, segue.
Directly.
Yes.
Putting on the spot.
Yes.
Additional cut reserve per Board of Education, 6% increase.
Yes.
How can you come up with that figure?
Yeah, so perfect. Thank you for that question. I'm going to answer that now. So, because there has been a lot of talk about Board of Education. So I have a son in the school system. He has been going here since he was born. Blah, 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 blah. I agree with everything that is said here. It's a great school system. We need to keep it that way. We need to invest in it. No sane person is going to disagree with that. In my view, that's all red herring, okay? It's all red herring. Like, everybody mentions here, from that side to this side, we are going to lose teachers. We are going to have performance, which is going to go down. I asked the school system, the school administration, I asked the Board of Ed members to show me the data where it shows that we have an attrition problem for teachers. And people mentioned 10 teachers we have lost in a decade. You know what is that? That is consistent with every town that is around us. That is normal rate of attrition. That's what I was told by Board of Ed, okay? So bringing these 10 teachers up, nobody tells you in what amount of time. In 10 years, okay? I lose 2 employees every year at my work, in my own department. That's how mobile the workforce is at this point. I'm not saying we should be losing teachers, but we are not. There is no data. If anybody in the majority can show me the data set where they can show there is an attrition problem with teachers in our school system.
Okay. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, please let me finish. Please. And I'm going to get to Mukesh's question eventually, right?
Hopefully.
So I will. Because there is a lot said here, right? The second piece of this equation is, okay, class sizes. Dr. Zito, I've been in this council for 6 years. Dr. Zito has never appeared here and said, I have a class size problem. Not once. During that time, in 6 years, our scores have been going up. What is this conversation about class sizes? I'm hearing it for the first time because the majority and the mayor want to give a 10% increase to the school system, which we have never asked before. They have never brought up an attrition problem for teachers, and they have never brought up a problem with any kind of spending and at the rate at which we are increasing the spending in the last 6 years. They have never come here and said, hey, we have a real problem here where we are not getting enough to actually support our kids, not our administrators. And this is the last point I will make about teachers, because this has been going on for the last half an hour. I've been hearing this. Where is the teachers in this budget? Where are the teachers in this budget? There's one. And we are supposed to be having a teacher attrition problem. For all the new positions that are in this budget, there's one teacher. And am I supposed to believe we are having an attrition problem? I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain it to me. Why are we not having more teacher positions in this budget? Maybe the mayor can answer that. If we really have an attrition problem, if we are looking to the future, right? Now, let's go to the 10% number and the question that Mukesh asked, right? If you look at the increase that has been proposed, a lot of that increase, a lot of counselors here keep going back to the idea of the contractual, right? The contractual is not 7%. When you add all the new positions, that's when it gets to 7%, okay? And what we looked at, Mukesh, now directly like answering your question, we said, what can we do in terms of new positions, not hiring, which ones we can live without, which positions we can live with, right? Which CIPs we can actually spread out for the next 5 years versus what we have to pay today. That's how I operate my house. It might be a surprise to all of you. Maybe, right? Definitely on this side of this podium, it could be a surprise, but not to that side of the podium probably. I look at my budget and I say, hey, what am I going to spend today and what I'm going to spend tomorrow versus like what I'm going to spend in 3 years? Are we saying we have to increase this budget by 10% and do everything this year? Everything or bust? What about people who are seniors here who are on fixed income? Who actually live like month to month? What are we going to say to them? We are investing in the future, in my kid. I'm very happy about that. But what about them? Thank you. I hope I answered your question, Mukesh. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
John, you have to vote.
John, do you have to?
We have to vote.
We need your vote.
We need your vote.
You don't need it.
It's, I mean, you could.
Clearly
number one.
see,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm one of 9. You don't need 6 or 5.
All right. Okay. Do we have anything else to add to this conversation? Okay, so I'll just touch on the amendments as proposed really quick.
I have something to add.
Okay.
We've been talking about kicking the can. We hear kick the can about Stevens HVAC. Yet the Stevens HVAC is not even in this year's budget that were proposed. There was a run by the Democrats about the HVAC, and it's not even brought up in this year's budget to fund. So I don't know, in the past administrations have budgeted items, just like Councilor Prakash said, budgeting for the future. Yes, it's not funding everything fully, it's slowly getting there. Yes, we hear it, and prices probably have gone up. That is true. But to throw everything in all at once, I don't think it's an affordability item. I had asked, how about funding some of these 6 new positions over time? And I was told absolutely not. It has to be funded this year. I'm not against funding all these positions, but we have to gradually fade them in or bring them in so that we're not hitting this high increase for the Board of Ed particularly. I just want to, conclude with my part here. The Democratic ticket you guys ran on affordability, growing the grand list, not increasing taxes. I know you're trying to grow the grand list, and that's all beneficial to all of us, and I appreciate that, and we all want that to grow. But I'm concerned that you're letting your voters down that voted for you and got you guys into office, being that you now are going back on affordability. You're making some people in this town, it's going to be unaffordable for them, probably to live here. You got to think about the seniors. You got to think about the young couple just starting out. It's not getting to be affordable. So our proposal was to help bring it down some, work with the taxpayers, work with some improvements, and try to keep it more affordable. I think we're more affordable this time with our budget proposal than the current one. Thank you.
Can I ask a clarification question from Mona? Because the public has received 2 pieces of information that are conflicting. My piece, and we'll say Counselor, maybe Melissa or somebody else, but on that Board of Ed, when we talk about contractual agreements, Mona, if we did not hire those 6.2, which I think was responsible, $749,000, that would not be in the percentage budget increase, correct? Which is at 4.69, because if it is, we're giving a 5% raise to everybody in the Board of Ed? I don't think we are. So I know for a fact, well, I don't know, I'm asking.
And I don't have, I'm sorry, but I don't have their
Right.
budget in front of me, but I think
Would
the
it
positions
make
would be in
sense?
there.
Would
Yeah.
it make sense that we're
Have to
giving
back it
everybody a
off.
5% increase, or 4.69 to be specific in salary?
Perhaps, I hate to
A
do it
5% increase?
without it in front of me.
Okay, I did, 3.5% increase would be 1.3 million, okay, on salaries, which I think is pretty average and certainly meets the annual inflation rate right now, okay? That is 3.7. So if that's the case, that's only 1.3, yet we're going up 37,378 up to 39,900, or 40,000. It's 2.7. So that has to include the new positions.
Healthcare.
It should.
Oh, no, I'm not even going to healthcare. You want me to go to healthcare? The benefits, I'll go right there now.
Healthcare is also causing that high percentage.
That doesn't matter, that's a separate item. The healthcare is
There's also
2.3%.
There's also steps, though. Only the people at the top get only the 3.5, I think it's 3 or 3.5%. You have steps, which I think is another 1.5%.
It's a simple question that,
No, I'm telling you
Yeah.
that the people that are not on the top step, you're gonna get the step raise as well, so that would be about 5%.
I guess we're not
Okay.
gonna solve it, we're not gonna
3.5+, yeah.
solve it tonight, but there's no way that we're at 7.64 is contractual between salary and benefits without the addition of the 6.2 new hires.
I will say at least that I did look, and I'm sorry, because I don't have that line in front of me, so I didn't
Okay.
feel comfortable with that. But I did look at their contractual, so it was the salary contract, the health insurance, the tuition, and the transportation. So there was a point where I did look at theirs, and anything contractual was in the 7% range. So contractual being obligated to pay a tuition, obligated to pay a bus
On
contract.
current salaries or proposed salaries? Because it's
I'm
on
saying
proposed
budget to budget.
What's that?
What, are you looking at the Board of Ed's budget?
I am,
Yeah,
yes. No, what I'm seeing is it's on the proposed budget. It's a salary on the proposed budget. So I just want to make sure that we understand that, again, 6.2 positions be added, nobody's arguing about that. That it, when contractually not obligated to 7.64, because if we were, we wouldn't be going up only a little bit on this Board of Ed.
So would their salary line include those positions? Yes.
That's my question, yes.
Yes, I'm
it
sorry,
does.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so sorry.
So part of the increase is also due to the new
Sorry, it was a
position.
simple one, but I wasn't hearing
All
simple.
right, that's
so.
fine. I
Yeah,
wasn't
it-
asking clearly.
Okay.
It's okay, like,
I just
we
want-
know the answer, Mona, we really do.
Yeah.
Good.
It's okay, you don't have to answer it.
And again, to go back,
Okay.
one teacher.
Can I weigh in on this now?
Yep.
Okay. So just based on the amendment as proposed to the adjustments that we did, I mean, I'll start with the biggest number, and that's just the proposed decrease to the Board of Ed to bring it down to a 6% increase. I guess I follow the logic that previous years have been at a certain percentage, and, you know, based on inflation and whatever, let's try to cap that at a certain thing, like 6%, just pick an arbitrary number, sure.
Not arbitrary, but go on.
Okay, but, but just to put that in perspective, you know, in relation to the budget that was adopted unanimously by a bipartisan Board of Ed, which bipartisan means the Republicans voted for it too, after spending 12 hours over 6 workshops going over every last thing, they didn't, I don't think they would be adding things into the budget they didn't feel that they needed. And to arbitrarily say, well, we want it under 6%, so just take another 1.6 million out of that. I don't know where you would expect that 1.6 million to manifest itself in savings. Is that maybe half as many buses? Maybe, you know, we do away with sports. We do away with, I mean, sports doesn't even cost 1.6 million. So like, is that people? I mean, can it be, I mean, the average salary for somebody in the Board of Ed, whether it's a custodian to a principal, the average across everybody is about like 108,000. So if you want to take another 1.6 million out, and the budget is 85% people, meaning salaries and benefits, if you take that 1.6 and you say 85% of that is going to be people and 15% is going to be stuff, or just say it's all going to be stuff. We're not going to pay for $1.6 million of stuff and we're going to try to keep everybody. I don't know how you do that with just laying off people.
So
Is
again,
that-
another red herring.
Please don't interrupt the mayor.
Another red herring, like, right? How do you get from cutting 1.6 million or a 10% increase of budget from year over year, from last year, to laying off people? There is absolutely zero middle ground in your thinking logic here, right? You're going from a 10% increase to saying now we are going to lay off people because you're reducing the increase from 10 to like 6.
Because guess
increase,
what?
not cutting. Increase, the rate of increase.
Okay, well, you interrupted me, so can I finish?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the easy way to get there is because guess what? The cost of everything has gone up. Transportation has gone up. The salaries go up, which, okay, let's look at like the the contractual agreements, like union salaries that have been negotiated. Who did those negotiations for salary increases and steps? I didn't. Did anybody here do it? Who was in the room that negotiated those salaries?
Probably the town manager was there.
It was probably the Board of Ed, maybe some other elected officials. And those, so when you factor in their salaries going up, the cost of everything is going up, that's how you get there. They presented things like transportation costs going up, insurance costs going up. We don't have any control over that. We have to bus students. We have to make sure all the teachers have the contractual health care that they're promised. That's where that gap is. That's where that difference is. And it's math. You know?
It's not math. It's a 10% increase. That's what the math is. Everything else you're saying is very vague. It has nothing to do with any layoffs. Nobody suggested that. Nobody said there are going to be layoffs if you bring our rate of increase from 10% to 6%. One last thing, by the way, on this, like, just quickly. I voted against my own party's budget 2 years ago, okay? And you came out and you campaigned, Alan, as the candidate for mayor, saying 3.5% increase in year-over-year budget, which I voted against, was unaffordable. And I thought you were onto something maybe. And here you are, saying 3.5% increase in the campaign is unaffordable, which I voted against that budget, against my own mayor's budget. And you are saying 10% is completely affordable. In what world we are living in, Mr. Mayor?
Sir, do you mind please calming down?
First of all, it's not 10%. The original was 8.98%.
Thank you,
Board of
Mimi.
Ed.
9%.
Secondly, when you look at the increases for the salary and the increase for the, what they presented, increase for the benefits, that comes to 6.99% of their budget. You have transportation, which was 0.74%, tuition, which is for out-of-town students, which we have absolutely no control over, nor do we have for transportation. That went up, it went up 14%, but it was 0.74% of the budget increase. Tuition and other miscellaneous things, so that brings it up to the 8.98. So your 6% would basically cover the salaries, and yes, it includes the others, but with the other things, it would not be enough to fund what's going on. And some of the positions are support positions, psychologists or social workers, I think paras, things that are necessities in these classrooms. And if you have larger numbers of students, you need those people even more. And right now, from what I heard at Stevens School, second grade has 24 students. I taught 40 years ago. I went back to school, but I taught 40 years ago. And having that many kids 40 years ago in second grade, when they cannot all work independently, would have been hard enough back then. Today, with the extra things the kids are going through, that is too many kids in a classroom. You've got kids that have social issues and so forth because of COVID. They were home. They didn't socialize. It's a different world than what it was even 5 years ago because of those things going on. So some of these positions, maybe we only need them for a few years. Maybe that when those kids come through, maybe it'll be better down the line. But right now, it's not just frivolous extra people. They need these people. And maybe some people need to go to a classroom and see how long you would last in there.
Can I reference the same chart that Councilman Thoreau's referencing? I'm sorry, a different chart. You have put everything together, but just for reference, in the 23 budget, we went 1.9 million up for the Board of Ed. 24 budget, 2 million. 25 budget, 2.3. Last year, 1.7. This is operating budget, does not include improvements. And so using the argument that we're not doing the schools, this is purely operating. And then this year, we're going up 4.3 million. Amended, 4.1. Your amendment, not our amendment. That's a huge increase. That's not the rate of inflation.
Maybe it's because it's been underfunded for years.
No, we underfunded repairs. This is, that's not in there. This is operating only. 6.2 new hires. 6.2, one teacher. Sorry, doesn't make sense to me. won't be voting no if it doesn't go with the amendments.
All right, well, I could continuing about this for a while. I think it's pretty clear where everybody stands. Yep, for the
amendments first, and then I'll-
for the amendment from, who started it? Counselor Whalen? And
Yes.
seconded? All in favor of this amendment?
Yeah.
All opposed? The amendment is not made. All right. So we have a motion on the table for the adjustments as read by Counselor Emmanuel. Do we have any other amendments?
I ask if there is an amendment that we made that you may find amendable. We spoke of the amendments, we listed them out individually. You said no to all of them, but is there an individual amendment you would consider?
I spoke specifically regarding the Board of Ed, that I think there would be no way to do that without laying off, without affecting the students in the classroom. In regards to the rest of it, I think, yeah, that's fine. I think we need to have a full-time economic development person working. I don't want to keep that as part-time. I think we compromise to make it at a lower salary position so that it is not so much of an impact. I think we also compromised on starting the full-time police officer in the middle of the year versus starting it as of today. That saves about $50,000 plus the health benefits.
Excuse me for interrupting. Do you want us to comment as you're taking these down one by one? Do you want to go all the list and
Well,
then let
those
us
are,
go
I
back?
mean, those are basically the only ones that I'm gonna speak to more specifically. I'll just speak in general to it as far as I don't find any of these other ones that I'm amenable to. I don't know if anybody else on the council wants to entertain any of them, but speaking for myself.
So the top two are the two that you would, well, you said no. So the rest are yes? I'm just so I'm clear on
No.
this. Okay. So you're a no for everything then?
Yep.
So you want to increase what the fire department requested, 88,000, which was an 18% increase of what they spent last year actual, and then go all the way to 100,000 from the 88.
I think money for training for the people that serve this community is money well spent. I think if we, for some reason, don't recruit as many people, maybe people don't go through as many, then we may not spend that. But we're reducing some of the fire department's other expenditures in other ways. And so our caucus felt that at least making sure that we can maintain the training level that the chief was looking for, or even a little bit more than what was presented in the budget, is money well spent.
Then why didn't,
I just
you're
wanted to
inserting
follow
yourself as the
specific-
Chief Gary.
Yes,
spot.
well, you specifically asked that. There were, in this process, the chief had more than one number he asked about in the process. The number that was the result that we saw at this level was 88,000. But it was originally an ask for more with good reason, because the type of training that they want to get their specific guys through this year would frankly go above that 88,000. But he's, you know him, he's happy to take what he can get, so to speak. But in discussions with him personally, he was very clear that that number was not the effective number that he wanted for this year. And I agree with the mayor. Fire training is critical, especially when their call volume has been up now since it was maybe 5 years ago. A little bit of a lull during the pandemic, but other than that, we're in excess of the numbers that there were before the pandemic. We have a great volunteer fire department. If we were to lose that volunteer status for it, it would be a much more expensive venture. And I see no reason why in their 100th year, we shouldn't be supporting them, getting their guys through more training, to be the best possible team that they've got. So no, fire, I don't see any problem with that.
Back to the police, you know, half a year higher, you know, like Council Whalen said in his presentation, you know, that we're going to be in the middle of a efficiency study, and now we're going to add one that frankly, none of us are going to want to take it back. Is that something that was the compromise, that we'll put them on the books, and then when we finally get the efficiency study to either say we have not enough or too many, we're not going to be able to make a move then? You know, because I'm not going to want to cut any police officer unless they left on their own accord.
We do have a couple of retirements that are probably coming.
Okay.
We were
Okay.
advised that they are very likely in the same term.
So if the efficiency study says we don't need that position, we're not going to fill one of those two? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not speaking to that specific question.
I think they have the right to fill it, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe not. I could be mistaken. If the police department loses to retirement, are they allowed to replace that position
It's a backfill.
without our acknowledgement? I know they have because they've done it.
Yeah, it's a backfill, so
Yeah.
they will be all within
Right.
their rights to do it.
So I'm
We're
just saying,
we're
we're in
just
the middle of
saying, wait till the efficiency study is done. You know, we're not saying it's needed, we're not saying it's not needed, but what we're saying is we have an efficiency study that we're funding with taxpayers' money, and why are we jumping the gun if they say we don't need it? And then we do have that position. I'm not gonna cut a police officer that we have. And if we fund this, we will have that police officer. I'm not gonna say he's not needed or she's not needed. They always can be used in our community. But if the efficiency study says we don't need them, why don't we just wait until then? That was our thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't presume to know what efficiency study will come out with, whether it says we need more, less, this, that, something different. So I think having this position start mid-year, starting January 1st or something like that instead, gives us a little bit more leeway. But we heard from the chief that we've got a lot of retirements coming up, or a lot of people that are going to be now eligible to retire in the coming year. We've also, I think we've had a couple people that have, just recently, we heard in the public safety meeting, we had a couple people that may be on medical leave, and that's just gonna be a continuous thing. We haven't added, to my knowledge, people on patrol in over the last few years, yet our population has continued to grow.
We have added positions in the last 5 years.
How many?
Yeah, a couple of them.
Was it 5 years ago, though, or was it like last year?
I think 3
or
years
the
ago,
year?
if I remember correctly. Chief can correct me, but it's, we have
I-
had a couple of them.
Yeah, I seem to remember they were added with ARPA money.
Yeah, they
you
were,
know,
they
in
were. It's a couple of
21
years
or
ago.
22
Yeah, 23.
or something like
Custer
that.
was still here, and you.
No,
what-
Chief Custer wasn't here, like,
No,
it was after
Chief
that.
Custer was here when those officers were on, where those two were added. And I know Councilor Savini and Whalen were not on the council at that time, but you
Right.
guys added an extra officer that Chief Custer did not request.
Yeah, that
in
was
in
the
that
SRO
year.
position.
And for the reason that it takes a year and a half for them to get up to speed, and you wanted to have somebody in the pipeline. So that's our reasoning for, we figured, you know, to make some of a compromise, putting the officer in, and, because you have two that are in now, having one, so that's why
Yeah, we are not,
think
we are
that
not
half
saying
year.
we should not do that. We are just saying it's prudent to wait to fill that position when it's required next year, if it is
I
required
said the
next year.
same thing about the officer, but that,
Yeah.
I just want to point out that you had a little longer list than that, and there were, I think, 3 things that we did look into. One of them that comes to mind, because my husband's registrar, we talked to him, and you guys requested a $40,000, and we found an extra 6, so we cut 46,000. So we did listen somewhat to you, and I think I remember one time in the 6 years I was in the minority that you took one suggestion, and that was because Mona found alternate funding for it. So that's the way it goes when you're in the minority. Not personal.
So much for working together. We've been talking,
And
we've been told by your Democratic majority, we want to work together. We want to strive to do a better job.
We did.
And
We took some
we're
of your
trying
suggestions.
to come to some common ground here, but I just want to point that out, that we want to work together. We want to have some type of give here to help it out, but I understand where you guys are coming from, and that's your position.
And by the way, Councilor Thorough, like being in the minority or majority, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I voted against my own mayor, so I don't mind that,
Okay, but
being
you're
in a
saying
minority.
Sometimes it's frustrating because you have different.
I was in the minority 2 years ago when I was actually in the majority.
Yes.
So
So just,
I voted with you last year.
yeah.
I just have,
Then if there's
I
no.
have one quick question. Was it a mistake for us to take as many of the suggestions that you guys made during the process and apply it to what we proposed here? Was that a mistake? Because it seems like if, in doing that, we've left you to just say that, oh, we don't want to work with you at all. We won't do these things that you've brought to us on this day. And so
Obviously, you thought we had good ideas then, because you did implement some of them,
we thought
correct?
that, we thought that the
ones
discussion
we thought were
produced a lot
good.
of great ideas from everyone at this dais, and we've always been reflecting that in what we produced. This budget that we proposed reflects those discussions and reflects a lot of your ideas. So I just hope that you might acknowledge that it's not like we didn't work with you at all on this. We've worked with you on it. We're just here at the finish line. You have a laundry list of some things you'd like to add to the adjustments, and we disagree with these things. We agreed with a lot of other things. I
No,
just
you
hope
didn't
you'll acknowledge
agree
that we
with a
did
lot
put
of
some
other
stuff in
things.
here. That
There were
was
not a
what-
lot of things that we agreed upon. We
Yeah.
agreed upon many more, but when you proposed your budget, once again, you didn't fulfill what we agreed upon, and you added positions in here that we had agreed upon to cut. So it is concerning.
Or not to add, not to
I
add,
don't
not to
think
cut,
the-
not to add.
Because you talk to the mayor doesn't mean that the other two councils are going to vote what you want, or
They
that
did.
we're all going to vote.
No, we did.
But
did.
I'm just saying, but
We
you
did.
We
can't,
came
because
prepared.
you have two people, you can't assume that we're necessarily going to.
Yeah,
We agreed upon things. He's agreeing for your caucus, just like I agreed for my caucus. My caucus supported me, but apparently somewhere along the line, you guys changed your mind again, and this happened again. We agreed upon things, where to make cuts, and when we got this proposed budget, it wasn't the same that we agreed upon. Things have changed.
But that's $35,000.
I mean, I guess, yeah, just,
Can I, it sounds like you're not going to give on the police position, which is, again, a full-time position, that the benefits aren't even shown. I don't believe the
They are.
benefits are shown. They are,
yeah,
that's inclusive
that's.
of benefits, so
Yeah, that's the
98,000 is benefits.
reflection in the change in health insurance.
Yeah, that was the change from 60 to the 87.5.
Okay, so if we are hiring a police patrolman, can the overtime be reduced if we're now adding another person, another patrolman?
Look, we can, I mean,
I'm just saying.
budgets
you're
in the
adding both.
past
Yeah.
have played around with overtime, but what ends up happening is you use the overtime you need to do the job. It's the same as we could, you know, mess around with training budget. They're still gonna need to be trained, you know? We can mess around with repair budget. Car's still gonna have to be repaired, and at the end of the year, we've got adjustments, you know? I'm comfortable where we're at here, you know, in terms of working together on this. I feel like we both came from the same place, that we want to focus on needs, not wants. And we wanted to get the original proposed budget down as much as we could while still maintaining services. At least that's where we came from, is keeping the same services we have, bolstering the services that we feel like have been strained in the past, and that's what comes in with human services, that comes into the library, and it also comes in the school. When we came together in terms of looking to find other savings, we were on the same page with a lot of stuff, identifying, you know, things as small as cutting down the amount of money that we spend mailing out a letter every year, to, you know, cutting, there was a lot of things in the budget that are still going to be funded, but they'll be funded through their own special revenue funds or something like that. So when we read through that, 39 items, there's a lot of things in there that they're still going to happen. They're just getting funded through other means, which is the way that they historically have. And we were all on the same page with that stuff. When we met to go over the initial budget, we each had ideas of additional things, and I think we tried to factor in as much of that as possible that we were comfortable with. When we all get together, sometimes we think about it a little bit more, and we're not all comfortable at the same level. So, with that being said, we have any other amendments to propose? All right, well,
Call a question.
I would, anybody else? Good, going once, going twice. I'll close discussion.
Call a question.
What's that?
Call a question.
All right, all in favor, and I just like if we could go by roll call too. There's been questions in the past with who said yes, who said no, for previous votes. All in favor of the resolution as read for the adjustments to the 2026-27 budget?
We mean just take the roll.
Yeah, we'll take the roll. Okay.
No.
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 Yes.
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 The ayes have it.
Still need to do this one.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, you
Hold on, what?
you need
More?
one resolution for your mill rates.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. I gotta walk that over. Mimi, you want to read this?
Sure. I move adoption of the Town Council Resolution, May 18th, 2026, adoption of the 2026-2020 annual budget. Be it resolved that for the fiscal year 2026-27, general fund budget dated May 18th, 2026, as itemized by department, board, committee, commission, or other purpose, and providing for total expenditures in the amount of $108,471,161, with $60,225,193 for the Board of Education, $7,676,225 for debt retirement, and $40,569,743 for other departments, boards, committees, commissions, and other purposes of the town of Rocky Hill, be it and hereby adopted pursuant to Section 806 of the Town Charter. Be it further resolved that for the fiscal year 2026-27, tax levy of the town of Rocky Hill shall be established in the amount of $91,211,245, and the tax rate upon the grand list of October 1st, 2025 shall be 31.70 per $1,000 of taxable valuable real property, personal property, and motor vehicles. Be it further resolved that tax bills in the following amounts shall be due in one installment on July 1st, 2026. Real estate tax bills of $300 or less, all motor vehicle tax bills, and personal property tax bills of $500 or less. Be it further resolved that all other tax bills shall be due in 2 equal installments payable without interest and/or penalty on July 1st, 2026 and January 1st, 2027. Be it further resolved that all motor vehicle and personal property bills in the amount of $2 and under are hereby waived. Be it further resolved that the town manager is hereby authorized to secure bids for items approved in the budget, subject to the provisions of the charter. Be it further resolved that the Capital Improvement Program 2026-2027 through 2030-2031 be and hereby is adopted pursuant to Section 802 and 806 of the Town Charter. Be it further resolved that the Capital Improvement Program 2026-27 through 2031 is a forecast of capital expenditures and may be modified to meet changes and priorities that occur within the community over time. Certified, the foregoing resolution adopted by the Town of Rocky Hill at its May 18, 2026 council meeting. Not repeating it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Or any discussion? Or, no?
Opposed?
Any opposed?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mona. So, Mayor, for Mayor's report, just going to, did prepare a little thing about the budget. I'm going to try to get through that really quickly, and then have just some updates on upcoming events. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to the town manager, finance director, Mona, all the department heads, and their teams. Thank you for the time and the work you put into this, and thank you to the public for your feedback and for showing up, including tonight, 24 people offered comment tonight, including a big chunk of those were here in person, so you might not have seen that on the cameras at home, but I really appreciate that, whether it's positive or negative, or, I mean, I look at it all as positive because folks are engaged and paying attention. So to recap, here's what that process looked like. You know, we had 7 budget workshops, most of which went over 2 hours. The Board of Ed held another 6 of their own for about 12 hours as well. And that's a serious commitment from not just the volunteer elected officials and the staff who support all of us, but also, you know, shout out to Raymond in the tech booth who's here late. Whenever we're here late, he's here late. Daniel, who has to watch all of the meetings and do the transcript of it. Those are the guys behind the scenes you don't often see. So when we started this process, the proposed mill rate increase was over 2.7, close to 9% increase. Through the work of this council, both caucuses working together, we identified roughly $1.8 million in additional savings that we could all agree on, while protecting our core services and putting more resources where they're needed most. Tonight, we adopted a roughly 4.8% increase in the mill rate, cutting the impact to taxpayers roughly in half, if you round. I'm proud of what the council did here, did to get us here, and I think it reflects a genuine commitment to the people that we serve. I also want to be straightforward about the reality everyone is living in right now. Costs are up across the board: gas, groceries, everyday services. We can't fix most of that from this building, but what we can do is manage our tax rate responsibly and make sure the services we provide are worth what residents pay for them. And I think this budget does that. One thing I want to be clear about is I have no interest in balancing budgets with gimmicks, procrastinating, or living in alternate realities. Cutting overtime lines on paper, pushing off expensive projects that only get more expensive, underfunding the pension, all of those things aren't solutions. They're just problems that are deferred with a bigger price tag attached in the future. So we came in this year committed to doing it differently, and I think this budget shows that. One strategy we employed this year was to work closely with our state delegation to make sure Rocky Hill was getting its fair share, and it paid off. State funding to the town increased nearly 25% this fiscal year, including increases in all of the ways that are usually identified as underfunded, such as education, cost sharing, and pilot. Most of that is going to be ongoing. That work also secured additional funding for projects in the future, like Stevens School HVAC, a project that's been on the list a long time, and it just keeps getting more expensive, plus additional funding for CIP projects around town. Our delegation is continuing to work on funding future projects as well, hand in hand with our state delegation. Those additional funds that we got from the state actually lowered the projected mill rate by nearly half a mil by themselves. This budget makes necessary investments in economic development by moving to a full-time position and bringing on contracted grant writing support. Growing our commercial tax base is how we reduce the long-term tax burden on residents, and this budget makes that a priority. Outside of this budget, the town is looking for additional ways to positively improve affordability moving forward. We're exploring services we currently pay outside vendors to provide, things like after-school programming being an example. We may be able to bring that in-house in the future at a lower cost. That's a big win for families, and it's something that's not really measurable in the budget. We're also partnering with neighboring towns on things like waste disposal and other projects, and the Board of Ed and the Town Council are collaborating in a way that we haven't really done for a while, finding shared opportunities, and the Board of Ed even came to us recently with leads on ways that we can get additional funding that would benefit the schools and the library as well. And in the coming month, we'll be having a joint meeting to hear more about opportunities to increase energy efficiency with cost savings to the town in the long term. What I'm the most proud of is that this budget also strengthens services where people need it most. We're adding additional officer in the future, recognizing that the demands placed on our public safety personnel have grown, and that the men and women who serve this community deserve the support and backup to do their jobs well. We're also increasing part-time support at the senior center, the library, and human services, and putting more funding into the fire department. We're largely holding the Board of Ed budget. We're largely holding the Board of Ed budget with a targeted $250,000 adjustment we hope can come from central office, but we're funding meaningful support at the student level with mental health, social work, adjusting and class size, and special education. So we ran on affordability and transparency. I think tonight reflects both of those targets. This wasn't an easy budget. They never are, but I'm generally proud of what we put together, real investments and a real plan for where we go from here. Now for upcoming events, in no particular order. Memorial Day Parade is coming up Monday. I have it on good authority that we should show up at 8:45 to begin lining up. There are T-shirts available for anybody that has not gotten one yet. They're $25 to commemorate the 250. You can pick them up at community service or the senior center area. There's a ribbon cutting at the ferry Thursday morning at 9 a.m. to celebrate all of the new entryway and gate and everything they have there. It looks gorgeous if you haven't seen it. I've got a senior coffee hour coming up at the community center, not this Thursday, but next on the 28th at 10:30. I invite everybody to come there. Throw food at me if you're upset with the budget, or just ask me any questions that you have about specifics. And I'll be looking to hold additional coffee hours with our state delegation now that their session's over. We'll probably set up those in the coming weeks. I mentioned we've got a mutual Board of Ed and Town Council meeting that we're trying to put together in the next month or so, looking for ways to upgrade our energy efficiency at no cost to the town. And we'll also be scheduling a meeting in the coming couple months or a couple weeks or so regarding getting more public. We want to engage the public in our conversations about automated traffic enforcement. And that was direction that the chief encouraged us to go in, and something we've talked about. That's an important aspect of that. So we're looking for that in the next couple weeks. Shout out for BAPS, who was here earlier. The weather is getting nice and warm. Hopefully it's not 100 degrees on May 31st for their walkathon. I encourage everybody to be there. It's a good time. It's very well organized, and you end up having pretty good talks when you're walking through the neighborhood. And also another shout out to the June 8th event in Newington to get more information about hate crime stuff. That's going to be in Newington at their town hall from 6 to 7:30. And that, I think, is everything that I've got. Town manager, what have you got?
Okay, I think you all deserve to go home now. You've done
Yes.
enough work, and I will postpone my report till the
Can I
next town
second
council meeting.
Well done.
All right.
To adjourn.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Thank you, everybody who stayed for the long haul.
Who's going to come for the beer?